in some of the transactions that we deal with, for instance, if a person has passed away and the children decide years later to go ahead and sell the property, maybe the parents died 20 years ago. Well, it's too late for them to have their will probated, but they can have what we call an affidavit of heirship. That will put of record the people that are actually entitled now, because they're the actual heirs of the property, and they would have to all convey their interest to this property. Whereas if a person passes away, say last month they passed away,
within 5 years,
their will can be probated, and then the court will designate who is the final person to would have the legal title and to convey it.
With probate, they have so much time in order to put a claim against an estate. So this is the reason why we could insure without probate after 5 years, but within those 5 years somebody could come back and claim something, and so you have to go through the courts to make sure that people have given notice.
And all of these points that we're explaining are to be, if there's any questions, you need to check with your attorney, because they are the ones that would have the legal aspects. We're dealing day in and day out with these things, but we are not attorneys. And when Sandra mentioned that we can do title insurance based on an abstract, our title companies are the ones that are actually insuring the people. So they have the confidence in us through the years of our experience that we don't have to get a title opinion on every piece of property. However, if we have any doubt whatsoever, we have plenty of legal counsel through the title companies that we check with, or many a times we go through our local attorneys, and we'll actually pay out of our proceeds to get a title opinion so that we can back up anything that we might be in question.
But that's bringing up another point, that with the title insurance as compared to an abstract, there is a big difference. An abstract, a title opinion, when an attorney gives a title opinion on an abstract, it's good for like 3 to 5 years. Where the title policy will, because you're insuring from the date of the policy backwards, that they have good title is in this person.
Any claim that would come that was prior to the date of that policy, if it was not an exception in the policy, would be something that the title company, if a person put a claim in, would be something the title company would look at and say, yes, this is a legitimate claim, therefore we'll pay for it. Or if they look at it and they say, no, that's not a valid claim, then that's something that the title company will not cover.
But the point is, that I was trying to get at, is that there are many things the title company will protect you against. Forgery, if a person,
an
heir doesn't sign a deed to quitclaim the property, so a missing link in the chain of title. If we have missed it, we've done a diligent search, but maybe we've made a mistake, well, the title insurance will cover that. If there has been foreclosure or something in the procedure where there is a mistake, and if we didn't catch it and call out something to be corrected, then that's under the protection of your title insurance policy. So that,
how do they make a claim?
In order to make a claim on your title commitment, on your final policy, and on the jacket, there is an address for the title company, and they want in writing any
request
claim,
of a claim,
right, that you have. And once they get that, they will take care of it. They'll make a decision as to whether it's a legitimate claim, and they will proceed very quickly with it.
There are different endorsements or things that can be added to a policy over and above the standard policy. Normally there's an exception on the back page of the title policy called a survey exception. But if an individual wants that additional coverage, that can be offered if they can present or have a licensed professional land surveyor do what we call an improvement survey, which shows any physical encroachments or buildings or things on the property, show that it's contained within the property. And if everything is met to the satisfaction, then that can be added to the policy for an additional fee, which is sent to the title company because they're offering that endorsement. And there are other endorsements.
But if anything in the survey shows up as an encroachment, or then we have to call that out, and it still is an exception on the policy. Because if we are made aware that there's a road that goes through the property, then we
can't just
make an
ignore
exception.
it. It has
right.
to be.
It doesn't mean that if you get survey coverage that it takes care of every problem. Anything that is made aware of. Now, if the surveyor didn't show that there was a fence encroachment, but there was one, and that became a problem, and they were given it, then that's one thing. But if he shows that there is a fence encroachment and we call it out, any loss arising from that fence not being on the boundary line, then that's an exception to the policy. So,
in the long run, title insurance is a very good investment for the money that you put into it, for the peace of mind and for the protection you get, and the added attraction that you do get a reissue credit when you sell the property. It's something that you would want as a buyer, and that when you give it as a seller, it makes you relieved that you've taken that extra step.
Any claim that is made on a policy, it's the most the company will ever go is up to the value of the policy. So if you've bought a lot for $5,000 and or $10,000, $30,000, whatever the lot would be, it would only go up to that amount. So if you put a $200,000 house on it and a problem arises where you have a claim against the policy and it ends up being $100,000, the title company would only go up to the amount of the lot. And if it was only $5,000, then that's all it would be. So it's something certainly to keep in mind, but it's just whatever, you know, there's an additional charge because for additional
premium.
Well,
along that same line, the title company doesn't just write you a check for the $5,000, $10,000, or $50,000. That's the amount of liability that they have. That would be the cost of any litigation, or if they have to deal with, say an error showed up that somebody didn't know existed, they would have to maybe spend that kind of money, negotiate to get them to sign something. But that wouldn't go to the holder of the policy. That would be what
to solve the problem.
It's not like fire insurance where you would be given the check or the builder would be given the check. A lot of these questions too, if a person has any questions, they're more than welcome to please stop by our office at the corner of 7th and Baker and come on in. We'll be glad to show them. It's kind of hard to just explain what we've been doing, but it's a lot easier to show them, and we'd be more than happy to show what our records look like. If they want to see some of those land patents signed by the presidents, we even have some copies of those. But we appreciate the opportunity of giving you this information, and you can contact us at Alley Abstract, area code 870-425-2264, and on our website at www.alleyabstract.com. And we appreciate you. Thank you.